Irritated by the meeting, one aide vented about Ivanka Trump's interrupting the gathering, saying, quote, "Toward the end of the meeting, Ivanka Trump entered the Oval Office to say hello, and the meeting careened off topic. Republican leaders were visibly annoyed by Ivanka's presence." An aide to House Speaker Paul Ryan disputed that account, saying, "That's not true."
Come up, honey. Should I bring Ivanka up? Come on. She actually said, "Daddy, can I go with you?" I like that, right? "Daddy, can I go with you?" I said, "Yes, you can."
At a tax reform speech in North Dakota, the president seemed to touch on the upside-down day on Capitol Hill.
Mitch and Paul and everybody, Kevin, and we walked out and everybody was happy. Not too happy, because you can never be too happy, but they were happy enough.
Even with all that on the president's plate, the White House still has to keep an eye on the Russia investigation. Tomorrow, the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., is scheduled to meet with staffers on the Senate Judiciary Committee. One key member of that committee, Senator Dianne Feinstein, is insisting that Trump Jr. eventually testify in public to tell all he knows about the Russian meddling in last year's election. So despite everything else they're keeping their eye on here at the White House, they still have to pay attention to Russia.
They certainly do. Jim Acosta over at the White House for us. Thank you very much. As Jim just mentioned, Donald Trump Jr., he is scheduled to be interviewed tomorrow by staff members of the Senate Judiciary Committee as part of its Russia investigation. Our senior congressional reporter, Manu Raju, is working that story for us. Manu, Senator Feinstein, the top Democrat on the committee, says Donald Trump Jr. will have to appear before the panel publicly, at least at some point.
Yeah, that's right, because tomorrow is a staff-level interview on the Judiciary Committee, the first time that the president's eldest son will have come and answered questions before any congressional committee about that June 2016 meeting in which he was promised Russian dirt on the Clinton campaign, a meeting also, of course, attended by Jared Kushner and Paul Manafort. Now, earlier today, when I had a chance to talk to Dianne Feinstein about Mr. Trump Jr.'s appearance tomorrow, she said this is not going to be the only time he comes to Capitol Hill, and he's going to have to appear publicly.
The agreement that we had is that there will be a public hearing, and if they don't come, they'll be subpoenaed.
So she's using the S word, subpoenaed, and that's something that she said that she and Senator Chuck Grassley, the Republican chairman of the committee, have agreed on moving forward on. Now, I did get a chance to ask Grassley if that he agreed with Feinstein's interpretation. He declined to comment about this altogether. Now, Wolf, this comes as a number of other revelations have really piqued the interest of Republicans and Democrats on the key committees, including those emails from Michael Cohen, the president's attorney, who sent those emails back during the campaign season about a Trump Tower Moscow project that they had been pursuing at the time. Senator Lindsey Graham, the Republican senator who sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee, says that raises questions.
Apparently, according to the information, they were talking about some kind of Trump Tower in Russia. So it seems to be they were interested in some kind of business dealings with the Russians. I don't know if Trump knew anything about what Mr. Cohen said or did, but that's why we have the investigation.
And I asked Senator Graham, do you want to hear from Michael Cohen as a witness? He said, I do. So both Cohen and also Jared Kushner, Feinstein told me earlier also that she wants to hear from him as well. So a lot of these major figures in the Trump orbit are still expected to come and answer questions before senators and House members in the coming weeks and months.
Yes, indeed. As you know, Manu, the former national security advisor to President Obama, Susan Rice, she was also up on Capitol Hill today meeting with the House Intelligence Committee behind closed doors. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this was a big Republican-led push on the committee. You'll recall the chairman of that committee raising concerns about so-called unmasking, the revealing of identities of names of officials, people connected to the Trump universe who are identified in these intelligence reports. There were a lot of questions about whether or not Susan Rice mishandled any of these intelligence reports and revealed the names improperly. I'm told she had a lot of questions from some of the Republicans who attended about this issue of unmasking. She contended that she really did nothing wrong. She handled these things appropriately. Some Republicans had been concerned that she may have leaked some of this information to the press. There had been no evidence to suggest that, and she denied having leaked any evidence. A lot of discussion, also talking focused on the issue of Russia meddling, part of this House Intelligence Committee's investigation. And one Republican member of the committee, Tom Rooney, came out afterwards and said that she answered all the questions that they had and they don't expect to bring her back for any further questions, Wolf.
All right, Manu, thank you. Manu Raju up on Capitol Hill. We want to get some more on all of these major developments. Democratic Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut is joining us. He's a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, we've got lots to discuss, but I got to take a quick break. We'll have our interview right after this.
Okay.
The breaking news this hour, Florida and Puerto Rico are bracing for Hurricane Irma, a deadly Category 5 storm that's battered Caribbean islands in its path. We'll get the latest forecast in just a moment. New information coming in. But first, we're back with Democratic Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut. He's a key member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, the chairman of your committee, Chairman Devin Nunes, he's now threatening to hold the Attorney General of the United States, Jeff Sessions, the FBI Director, Christopher Wray, in contempt of Congress if they don't provide documents showing whether the FBI relied on that partially verified Russia dossier. Do you support that effort by the chairman?
Well, Wolf, a lot of us are puzzled by this effort by the chairman, me included. It's not clear what the chairman is after here. Of course, politically speaking, if we look at this politically, this is a Republican-run Department of Justice. It is an FBI appointee of President Trump. The process by which the chairman decided to make these subpoenas was not one that included the minority, the Democratic minority, or to my knowledge, other people who were involved in the Russia investigation. As you know, the chairman recused himself from that investigation. And one of the many, many questions that we have about this new effort with respect to subpoenaing the FBI and the Justice Department is why the chairman, who has recused himself from the Russia investigation, would be pursuing something that is very clearly linked to the question of the Russian hack and possible collusion.
I understand that. I know he's removed himself from the investigation, but he clearly is still involved in this indirect way. But having said that, isn't it important to understand what role that controversial dossier played, if any, in the FBI's investigation?
Sure, and I mean, let's spend a minute on this dossier. It is, infamous at this point, and it has never been an important part of certainly the investigation that I'm involved in. I think the general consensus is that many of the allegations in that dossier are unproven or unsubstantiated. Now, I would note that none of the allegations in that dossier, to my knowledge, have been refuted. So it's a big open question mark. And the thing that puzzles me about the chairman's request to the FBI and the DOJ, it seems to me that the answer is either they're not interested, and by the way, I don't expect necessarily the DOJ, the Department of Justice, or the FBI is going to actually answer those subpoenas if this is, in fact, an ongoing investigation. But the answer is either, no, we're not using elements of that dossier, or it strikes me as potentially profoundly damaging if the answer is the reverse, which is that, yes, there were allegations in that dossier which subsequently have proven credible and that we are looking at. So again, it's a very, very puzzling thing why this has sort of risen to the attention of the chairman.
As you also know, Donald Trump Jr., the president's oldest son, will be speaking behind closed doors with Senate Judiciary Committee staffers tomorrow. When does your committee, the House Intelligence Committee, plan on hearing from him?
Well, that's yet to be determined. We have a long list of witnesses who have been scheduled. In fact, as you reported earlier, we interviewed former National Security Advisor Susan Rice today. We do not yet have Don Jr. scheduled, but he, of course, is one of the really key people here because in an investigation that is looking at possible connections, and I emphasize possible connections between the Trump campaign and the Russian hack effort, Donald Trump Jr., by his own admission, is sort of at the point of that spear. He said that he went into a meeting in Trump Tower with known Russian agents for the purpose of getting dirt on Hillary Clinton. That, in many ways, first of all, is completely at odds with what we were assured by the Trump campaign and by the president for a very long period of time, but it raises profound issues about what the follow-up to that meeting was. And so I don't care over much what venue he testifies in, but obviously that we get a full and complete accounting of what happened before, during, and after that meeting from Donald Trump Jr. That's essential to this investigation.
Congressman, how concerned are you that President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, asked the Kremlin for help with a deal to license the construction of a new Trump Tower in Moscow?
Well, I'm concerned about something that has been a persistent theme in this investigation, which we were assured directly by the president that there were no deals, nothing at all in Russia. Well, it turns out that in fact there was a very clear proposal for the construction of a Trump Tower. And again, this is a recurrent theme. Outright blanket denials followed by, oops, it turns out that that denial is not true. If you're part of the investigation, in addition to further damaging the credibility of any statement that is made by the president or the president's people, that opens yet another line of inquiry. Again, just operating from the news reports here, the timing of the emergence of this project, the development of this project, who was involved, and whether there was an intersection between that potential business project, Trump Tower Moscow, and the campaign is obviously of great interest to us and to the American people.
A final question before I let you go, Congressman. It's been reported that Facebook sold 2016 campaign ads to what's being described as a Russian troll farm with a track record of publishing pro-Kremlin propaganda. First of all, are you aware of this? Is this something your committee is looking into?
I saw the story when it came out today, and it, as so many things do, raises questions. It of course is a violation of the law for foreign entities or individuals to make contributions either of money or in kind to U.S. political campaigns. We therefore need to sort of look in to whether that is a possibility here. Again, it's a new news story. I've just read it quickly. We need to understand exactly what was involved in that effort, because there is the possibility of foreign money, resources going into a U.S. campaign.
Congressman Jim Himes, thanks as usual for joining us.
Thanks, Wolf.
All right, let's get some more now on the breaking news. We're following Hurricane Irma.